Coming up on the Angus Report, we visit with Joe Dalton, a professor and extension dairy specialist at the University of Idaho, about bull fertility.
Isaac Jumper, a veterinarian at Mississippi State University, talks with us about the importance of developing an effective herd health program.
Several American Angus Association employees discuss how the National Junior Angus Board guided them into their current professions.
And we preview this year's I Am Angus program, the association's award-winning documentary series. This is the Angus Report. Welcome to the Angus Report. I'm Bob Cervera.
And I'm Clint Mefford.
And this week, we're talking about bull fertility. Joe Dalton, a professor and extension dairy specialist at the University of Idaho, spoke about predicting and promoting bull fertility at the Applied Reproductive Strategies in Beef Cattle Workshop in Ruidoso, New Mexico in August.
There are many traits that we understand about the male and other traits that we don't understand relative to sperm in the ejaculate. Because in the female and the cow, whether it's beef or dairy, she'll ovulate only one egg. But in the ejaculate of a male, you could have 1 billion sperm cells per milliliter. And the assumption is that all the sperm are the same, they're homogeneous, when in reality they're not. They're heterogeneous. They're very different. So that presents increased complexity because we have some cells that are very normal, other cells that are abnormal, all mixed together in the same ejaculate. And all those cells ideally would be competing for fertilization, so that tends to cause problems. There's nothing that we can do that actually predicts fertility. We estimate fertility based on data from bulls that are out in the breeding cows, whether for AI or for natural service. So that's probably one of the biggest limitations, is that belief that we predict it. We actually have better ability to estimate, and then from there we can promote fertility, not only by using breeding soundness evaluations on natural service sires, but by buying sires or buying semen from sires from AI centers and spreading our risk out across multiple bulls. We have to be able to divorce ourselves from an emotional attachment or an attachment to a phenotype as opposed to what this bull is actually capable of. It can be a harsh reality that a bull that either we purchased or that we developed actually is not a very potential satisfactory breeder. The reality of the matter is there's nothing we can do to fix a subfertile or an infertile bull. So the fact that we spent a lot of money for him, either developing him or purchasing him, really has to go to the side, and we have to look at, will we actually get any calves out of this sire? And if we don't get enough calves and enough quality calves out of this sire, then the rest doesn't matter.
Contact your veterinarian to determine how to effectively estimate and promote bull fertility in your herd.
Seminal vesiculitis is the inflammation and often infection of one or both vesicular glands in bulls. Bulls with vesiculitis generally do not show any signs of sickness or discomfort, so breeding soundness exams are usually required to identify the problem. Bulls found to have vesiculitis are considered poor breeders due to a decrease in quality of their semen. A sign of the disease is a presence of white blood cells mixed with sperm cells when semen is examined under a microscope. Seminal vesiculitis is primarily found in two age groups, yearling bulls and older bulls. Generally, young bulls diagnosed with vesiculitis can recover with or without antibiotics, but older bulls are less likely to ever become a successful breeder again, even with aggressive antibiotic therapy. The exact cause of seminal vesiculitis is unknown, but it has been noticed young bulls housed in group confinement and fed high-energy diets are at greater risk for contracting the disease. Preventatively, young bulls should be fed a diet that promotes adequate but not excessive weight gain. They should also be housed in an area free from mud, protected from extreme temperatures, have plenty of room for exercise, and have adequate bunk space and water access. Bulls diagnosed with vesiculitis should be routinely examined in the following weeks to determine whether the condition is improving. Contact your veterinarian to discuss preventative measures and treatments for seminal vesiculitis. The FDA approved the first animal drug that reduces gas emissions in cattle. The agency was prompted to approve Experior after studies showed the product was effective in reducing ammonia gas emissions from manure after it was fed to cattle. High concentrations of ammonia can cause irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat in humans and animals. Additionally, ammonia gases contribute to a process called eutrophication, which enriches water with excess nutrients. The excess nutrients can cause algae blooms, which block sunlight to aquatic plants and results in aquatic animals dying due to a lack of oxygen in the water. Experior, developed by Elanco, was fed to more than 4,000 cattle in semi-controlled conditions in enclosed housing. The product was found safe to feed to beef cattle, and meat from cattle treated with Experior is safe for human consumption. The approval of novel animal drug products like Experior also supports the FDA's One Health initiative, which aims to promote, improve, and defend the health and well-being of all species. Visit fda.gov to learn more about Experior.
Mississippi State University veterinarian Isaac Jumper spoke at the 2018 Cattlemen's Boot Camp in Starkville, Mississippi. Jumper wanted attendees to know herd health is more than just a vaccine choice.
The message that I really wanted to convey is that herd health is a lot more than just your vaccination and dewormer selection. It involves a whole lot of different management decisions that are all influenced by different factors unique to each production system. So we really try to think about herd health as a systems approach. So there's different systems such as the environment, cattle nutrition, genetics, all sorts of different things that influence herd health and not just your vaccine and dewormer selection. So some things that I would really encourage producers to do is to sit down with their veterinarians and evaluate their herd health system every year. There's always new technology coming out, new products, new things, and it can be kind of confusing for the producer to go through. But the veterinarian is really the professional that's trained to understand the wording, understand the terminology, things like that, and they can help them stay on the forefront, especially as their marketing decisions and production goals begin to change. The veterinarian can help them integrate that herd health and get the optimal herd health program out of whatever their production system looks like.
Jumper notes the importance of evaluating your vaccine and deworming selection each year.
I think one thing, like I mentioned, is that they think vaccines and dewormers are really all that they need to do. And one thing that they kind of sometimes get in a habit of is using the same things over and over and over again. And although that works, and I would highly encourage them that, especially from a deworming standpoint, to evaluate your program every year and ensure that what you're doing is sustainable for the future in terms of providing good immune response, but then also protecting against resistance and things and parasites that we struggle with. Every ranch, every farm is different in what their environment is. They're different in what their production goals are. So there's really not a cookie cutter recipe, one size fits all solution for herd health. It really needs to be set down and individual risk analysis for the different diseases that your herd is exposed to. You need to account for those appropriately and then tailor your herd health production to your individual system. Oftentimes that if it works in another system, there may be some overlap, but it's probably not going to be complete overlap between one farmer ranch and another.
Contact your local veterinarian for more information about vaccine selection. Stay tuned. More Angus Report after a break.
Welcome back to the Angus Report. Each summer, the American Angus Association offers internships for college-age students who are looking to learn more about the business breed.
Rachel Robinson has more.
The American Angus Association will offer 5 internships next summer. Angus Media, Angus Genetics Incorporated, and the Angus Foundation will host interns, as well as the association's events and education and communications groups. An Angus internship is certain to add to the students' portfolios, and they'll gain valuable knowledge of the Angus industry. Here's a look at our 2018 interns and some of their experiences.
In my internship, I have had the opportunity to write a couple of different articles for the Angus Journal. I'm going to be working on a feature story for them hopefully soon in the upcoming weeks. I've also been a reporter for the Angus Report. That was interesting. It was really fun to do at Junior Show.
I visited the farm with one of the AGI girls that work here. We went to this farm to visit because Even though I was working with the data, I would never see the animals, right? Because I don't really need to. The data is all here and all I need to do is sit down and work on the computer.
I got to experience a lot more than I ever thought I would. When I heard editorial intern, I was like, so I'm gonna be reading a lot and maybe writing a few things. But I've probably wrote upwards of 15 articles for the journal and the bulletin. And I've also gotten to speak to so many influential cattle producers. It's just blown my mind how much I've been exposed to.
They want you to leave here with a great experience and some knowledge that you didn't have before.
You don't feel like an intern. Jacqueline and Caitlin do an absolutely amazing job of instilling confidence in you and trusting you to run an entire project by yourself. I've been included in a lot of important decisions like the planning for next year's journal, and I just feel really blessed that they would let me as an intern play such a key role in something like this.
Now the deadline to apply is February 1st. Visit angus.org/careers for internship descriptions and requirements.
We check in now on the latest cattle market news with our market update, brought to you by Cattle Facts.
Hello, I'm Tanner Ahearn with the Cattle Facts Update. The most recent poultry slaughter report detailing the October data indicated broiler slaughter and production may be slowing its pace. On a weekly average basis, young broiler ready-to-cook production was up just 0.5% versus October 2017. In September, the year-over-year growth exceeded 4%. Obviously, a single month does not make a trend. However, the weekly data ending November 24th shows slaughter has been running almost 1% below year-ago levels for the last 4 weeks. And during that same time, production has been near even with last year. Despite the potential slowdown, young broiler ready-to-cook production is still on pace to set a record for production in 2018 at roughly 42.8 billion pounds, which is 2.7% above 2017. Through October, production is up 2.9%. Poor profitability is likely the main driver behind the industry decreasing the rate of production. Supply may be outpacing demand as wholesale prices for several parts of the bird are the weakest in recent years, and for boneless, skinless chicken breasts, the lowest on record. Looking forward into 2019, Cattle Facts still anticipates production to be 1.4% larger next year relative to 2018, setting a new record. The increase will be a function of slightly higher slaughter, but mostly due to live weights continuing the trendline increase. Once again, global trade will be critical in 2019 to aid in offsetting a portion of the additional domestic supply. Through September, broiler exports are 4% above 2017 and are expected to end the year up 2.5% versus last year. Cattle Facts forecasts broiler exports to be up another 1.7% in 2019. In addition to growing exports, more processing plants are expected to come online in 2019 to potentially add an extra 5% in production capacity by the end of the year. The additional plants will likely create more pull-through demand for the growing segment of the broiler industry. Although the exact timing of when these plants are running full speed is unknown and will be critical to monitor going forward. Bottom line, record poultry production is expected once again in 2019. There's no doubt beef holds a clear advantage in consumer preference over poultry, but additional competing protein at low cost could be a price limiting factor for the beef industry. For the Angus Report and Cattle Facts, I'm Tanner Ahearn.
To learn more about Cattle Facts, your leading source for beef industry market information, visit cattlefacts.com. Next, on the Angus Report, we visit with American Angus Association employees who formerly served on the National Junior Angus Board.
They discuss how serving as a junior board member helped develop their professional skills. Stay tuned.
The National Junior Angus Board is a great platform for youth to develop their leadership skills and serve the Angus breed. The program helped pave a career path for a handful of American Angus Association employees.
I was on the junior board from 2009 to 2011.
I was on the National Junior Angus Board from 2005 until 2007 and had the fortune during that time to serve as the chairman of the National Junior Angus Board.
I was on the National Junior Angus Board from 2004 to 2006.
I have a lot of good memories. I think everybody that's on the junior board would say they cherish their memories on the 2 years that they served. Enjoyed getting to see the country. We went to all kinds of different shows and locations, so that was a huge eye-opening experience.
The times that I had working, with other juniors, obviously the other board members that I served with, both the ones ahead of me and those behind me, and those are the best memories I have of working with them and working with young people, juniors, trying to encourage them as they were in the show ring, and I think it's something that I still enjoy today.
Favorite memories from being on the board, I guess the biggest thing is just the opportunity to serve with the other board members that I had, the other 17 folks that I had the chance to serve with over the 2 years. Just the memories with them, spending time with them at shows.
As the Director of Events and Education, I oversee and help assist with advising of the junior board. And it's definitely a rewarding experience to watch and mentor the kids and the junior board members grow up in front of you.
Yeah, so I started work for the association on July 1st in 2014, so I've been there about 4.5 years to work for the Angus Association. It's something that means a lot to me. It's a work that I can do that I'm passionate about. That Angus cow really means a lot to me.
As far as experience on the junior board, how that contributes to what I do now every day as a regional manager, probably the biggest thing is just knowing the people and meeting the people. Every day I get to work with people, and I would say on the junior board we got to work with a lot of different types of people as well.
The best part of working for the American Angus Association is working with the juniors and the adult members and the relationships we have. And then the most rewarding part is when the event's all over, the smiles and their facial expressions and how much they were grateful for the activities that we put on.
What I like best about working for the association is the people that I get to work with and the breeders I get to work for every day. It really is a people business. It is about the cattle, but the people come first.
So the question's asked, what do I like best about the association? And without question, it is the people. Not just the people that I work with, but also the people I get to work for. The people that I get to visit, go to their kitchen dinner, their table, and sit down with them and talk Angus cattle with them, to share a cup of coffee and share a meal. There's something that's very intimate about that, and I really enjoy that.
Up next, we have a sneak peek at this year's I Am Angus documentary. Stay with us.
I Am Angus is the American Angus Association's documentary series produced by the very same team that's responsible for the Angus Report. The documentary profiles the Angus breed and Angus producers, and this year's film features 5 icons of the Angus industry. We spoke with our teammate Josh Kamenelis, the man behind the I Am Angus camera.
This year's I Am Angus is called The Art of Greatness. It's a really fun story. We took the 5 honorees for the Saddle and Sirloin Portrait Gallery who are within the Angus breed. And we interviewed all 5 of them, but we also interviewed the painter who painted their 5 portraits. So we got to place him in a room with these 5 portraits and have him sort of explain these 5 unique characters, how they're different, how they're the same, and all of which kind of get at looking at what is greatness, what makes a great person, and particularly in the livestock industry. How did these people shape their careers? How do they treat others? What did they do that makes people all over call them great? And it's super interesting because they all have varied ways of doing that. Some of them are more public, some of them are more private, some of them have been more involved in industry, some of them have been more involved in the university, in the science side of it, or in the marketing side of it. So it's really a way of looking at all these different aspects of the industry, and especially how it's changed over the last 60 years. Because these 5 people have all experienced these great shifts in type, in performance programs, in technology. So we kind of get to see this period through their eyes and see how they approached changes, how they approached innovation, to shape their careers and to shape the whole industry. Part of the way we approached the story is we first interviewed the painter about these 5 individuals and got to kind of hear his perspective. And then we interviewed lots of other people about them, so we sort of had this picture of these people we couldn't wait to meet. We'd heard all their public persona and who they are and what they've done, and then we got the opportunity to sit down in a room with them, you know, a few feet away and just have a conversation. And that was really exciting to see, to hear about somebody who is so well known, and then to get to see them on a personal level and ask them questions and find out about their life directly. And then one of the questions we asked them, we said, you know, people call you great. You know, we've interviewed all these people, they say you're great, you're great. What do you think about that? And that's been a fascinating element to the whole story, is that they all have different answers about whether they even like the word great, whether they think it applies to them, what they think it means. When we tell each story just about a person and try to tell it in the most authentic and meaningful way, within that is just that they raise Angus cattle and we get to see Angus cattle, and it's a wonderful way of continuing to promote the breed just by showing that these are values that we stand behind. We stand behind the values of hard work, of valuing family, of leaving a legacy, of feeding the world. So I Am Angus is a wonderful way of highlighting those people and affirming those values that we stand for, and really by way of doing that, advancing the Angus brand and the Angus breed.
I Am Angus, The Art of Greatness, airs December 24th at 7 p.m. Central Time on RFD TV, then on our YouTube channel, Angus TV, after it airs. Let's look now at the official trailer for this year's documentary.
The Saddle and Sirloin Club Portrait Collection began in 1903 as a way of honoring the great leaders of the livestock industry. Of the hundreds in the gallery, there are 5 alive today who have devoted themselves to the Angus industry. And through their stories, we may learn about this common trait, which many call greatness.
You know, on behalf of the team here, we're really excited to highlight some of those great leaders in the Angus breed.
Absolutely, and you know, those leaders have not only shaped the Angus breed, but the cattle industry as a whole.
Exactly right.
All right, that's all for this week's Angus Report. We'll return next week at this time for more cattle news and highlights.
In the meantime, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Angus TV, for more from the association. Thanks for joining us.